All right, so now you have had the opportunity to learn about putting your client in Bullhorn and what type of information is going to be needed to get your brand new consultant onboarded. Congratulations, this is the start form. This is the piece of paper or electronic piece of paper that you're going to be sending over to Consultant Care with some information about your consultant and your client that is going to help us get the onboarding process started. So what you're going to do is you will open up the start form template. We're going to do a W-2 here today. And you can see there on the left-hand side that the recruiter has already filled out the recruiter portion. I have it backed up a little bit so that you can see the whole thing, but here is the recruiter portion. And they have filled everything out. It's your responsibility as the account executive to go over it and make sure that all the information here is correct. You want to make sure that the Bullhorn job number is the accurate one that you are making the placement in. You want to double check the start date, make sure that the overtime bill and pay is correct, etc. You will also double check and make sure that the information for the producer split is correct. And as soon as you've looked all that over and it looks good and you can tell that this is all accurate, you are going to put your initials here in the AE approval. And you're also going to let us know then, is this a job order where you've got 3 positions open and this is one of 3, or are you okay having the position be closed? It'll cause the job to be pulled off of the website, so you want to make sure you don't close it until you're ready. But this one we are going to go ahead and get this closed. And then you are going to go over to your side of the start form, which is the client information. We need all of these boxes filled out. So even if it's something that you don't know the information for, you just need to let Consultant Care know, indicate it by we're working on it or trying to find it, etc. So what you are going to do here for any cross-referencing is go back to Bullhorn where you have your information about your client listed in order to get all of the information in there and accurate. So you can see all of this is filled out. So we are going to do this placement for VW Credit. And to save some time, I'm going to skip over 1, 2, 3 address. And the client's phone number. So this is not a new client. This is one we've already worked with, and you can tell here that, yep, the MSA is indeed signed in Bullhorn, which is where we are saving all of our documents as previously discussed. You go in here, make sure that the MSA is signed, and there it is. The final contract is signed and in there, so you're all set to go. The SOW is one that actually for this particular client we don't need to do SOWs, but you would also find that listed in there if it was completed. So the client payment terms for VW Credit, if you scroll down to the bottom, net 30 days. That's some information that you'll be able to figure out either in the contract or in, if you have a discussion that you've had with your client and before the contract is signed and you know this is going to be the case. Anything that's at all unusual, or you can just put the net 15 like our normal schedule. Here you're going to put the actual person that we're going to be sending the invoice to. This is sometimes different for every placement we make. They might have a different person who's responsible for actually approving the invoice. You want to make sure you actually ask who this person is. So we're going to put Bob Jones here for that one. And he is Bob Jones at VWCredit.com. He's in charge of accounting. And for VW Credit, a PO actually is going to be required. It's something that we have to do for each one of our clients there to indicate exactly who we are when we come into the system and exactly how much that they owe us and how much is left on that particular purchase order. So you will have gotten that information from the client should there be a PO. So VW Credit has sent us the information and we now know that this is the PO number for this particular consultant. And the accounts payable main email address. This is going to be a different one from what that invoice email address was up above. This is going to be a completely generic in case for some reason we lose contact or the person who works in accounts payable is out. We need to be able to make sure that it's reaching the main email address. And so you need to explicitly ask for this. Almost always it's going to be something like AP or accounts payable at clientname.com. So for here, we're going to do AP at vwcredit.com. The timesheet process. Optimy does provide our own timesheet that consultants can log their time in, and the supervisors can approve the time there as well. But a lot of our clients have their own. So you can either detail here what the client's process is or put Optimy standard if not. So for VW Credit, they have their own process here. So we are going to go ahead and put that information on here. The timesheet process is that the consultants enter their time in plain view, they send a screenshot and get approval ceasing consultant care. Easy enough. And Daisy is going to be doing the approving. This is another one that seems like one that you might not need to ask. You think that it would be the person that the person's reporting to. A lot of times, either they're not allowed to, it has to be an HR person to do the actual timesheet approving, or sometimes if they're a higher level executive that we're placing somebody with, if it's a CIO, they may have their admin do all of the approving of time. And it's always best to ask because you can avoid people getting notifications that they're going to the CIO that they haven't approved the time yet. That's not anything we ever want to accidentally do. All right, so they don't have their own VMS tool name, so we can leave that information blank. But if they do operate with a master service provider, a vendor that we're going through, you put that information there. Then you finally put the reporting supervisor's name in here, and we need a contact information. If something ever goes wrong, we ever have any questions, we need to be able to get a hold of that person. So the welcome bag, this is the equivalent of the care bag. If for any reason you would like to still use this, you can indicate between you and your recruiter who is going to be doing the dropping off. And if it's consultant care, let us know that if it's somebody who's working remotely and we won't be able to actually take the That's Caring box to the consultant at the client site, let us know. So in this case, the recruiter is going to be taking it. The last little section down here is an important one. Billable travel and expense. If for any reason that they will not allow a person to expense something, if they have any kind of travel, we need to know that ahead of time. Generally speaking, not a problem. Almost nobody has per diem, an amount set per day, etc. If they do, that's all going to be in the contract, and you're going to want to lay that out in the VW credit page in Bullhorn. And know that we have nobody that I know of that's on a PTO plan through the client. The background and drug screening, these are both required. We're going to do background and drug screening on all of our clients, regardless of who they are, unless the client has explicitly said they do not want a background and drug screen in writing. So that's always going to be the case that we're running them, but we need to know if there's any extra details that are going to be needed here, which there are for VW credit. You can say see Bullhorn note since you already took the time to enter that in. And now consultant care knows that all we have to do is go check this and we can see, okay, there's quite an extensive amount of background check that's going to be required. You are then going to save this. You're going to email it to consultantcare@optimy.com, and you are going to title it Start Form. In this instance, this is going to be, Start Form Tom Cavanaugh VW Credit W2. And as soon as that is all completed, you are good to go. The start form is complete. The offer letter and application and drug screen and background will all go out through consultant care. And before you know it, you'll have somebody working on site for you. Congratulations again.